Good evening and welcome to Sugar and Silk. My name's Ben Doughty.
My name is Gary Stretch.
Yeah,
No, I'm Michael Silkolagitis.
you've been yes, you've been sunbathing down on Venice Beach. I see, Gary. Yeah,
Sun hugging. I've been hugging the sun, not bathing.
yeah. I'm not even sure we were allowed to make those kind of cliche jokes anymore. You know, the whole thing about having a suntan. Frank Bruno, that was one of his bits of shtick he would have with these, obviously predominantly white journalists like Des Lynam and Harry Carpenter. They'd say, "How are you, Frank?" He'd see him at shows. He'd say, "Oh, not bad. I just got back from Barbados. Been getting a suntan, Harry." Has that been cancelled by now, Silk? I'm not even sure.
You know what though? But black people can still get a tan. It's funny. They get more like red under your skin. It depends on your hue. But we get darker too, just like every other skin type. The only thing is, you know what I mean? We're just ahead of everybody. We start off ahead. That's all.
Yeah, in every way, except socially, economically often. But that's another discussion, isn't it? Listen, we're supposed to have Gary Stretch here. We are Sugar, Silk, and Stretch, it would appear, going forward from this point forward. We're going to discuss the big controversy that is raging throughout the whole boxing world today. I'm going to see if Gary turns up in the next minute or two before we necessarily breach that. We can breach it anyway. I can tell Silk you're in a bit of a hurry to get going. It was your call that we go live and wait for Gary to catch up with us. I didn't argue with it. Yes. So listen, Michael, the entire boxing world is embroiled in this controversy today. It was a pretty dominant performance from Alexander Usyk in Poland last night, save for the bizarre incidents of the fifth round when Daniel Dubois landed like a kind of looping right uppercut. You could almost call it a bolo punch, which landed kind of on the waistband of Usyk's trunks. The referee called it low. Usyk looked like he wasn't getting up anytime soon at all at one point. He looked in a bad way. It looked like he was unwilling to continue, possibly at one point.
And on that exact point, while it's right there, if I could for a second, Ben, when you get hit in the testes,
yes,
pain is so... like you writhe. It's not, you don't sit there and like breathe. And this is exactly what Usyk was doing. He was breathing and he was thinking and he was whatever. When you get hit in the nuts, basically, it's a different pain altogether. When you get hit in the like the solar plexus goes from like what? Not the sternum, but the
it's in your chest. I'm going to pick you up on that, by the way. I didn't do it on Facebook because it feels a bit tit for tat. And I didn't want it to be like I'm trying to make you look bad or mistaken. But you said solar plexus. That's right up here, baby. It's like that's
right up there. And then it stretches down. Like you come down from the top right here, and you go straight down to your belly button, and then you go below the belly button. But that's still the ability to lift that air up is still there. Here we go.
That's all very true, and that's a very fascinating biology lesson. But give it up for Gary Stretch, ladies and gentlemen, before we continue.
What have I missed?
Nothing. Just us talking bollocks, really.
Well, that's I don't care what you say. I was wondering if Silk had anything to say it.
Gary, we're talking about the controversy. Obviously, that me and you and I spoke briefly on the phone about it last night.
Let's start with the fucking undercard.
Oh, go on then.
I have never felt more offended as a human being, as a fight fan, with Hamid's opponent.
Oh, did you see that Michael?
With who?
Did you see Nassim Hamid's son?
Oh no, I didn't see him.
Tell him,
the
Gary.
Opponent, it was absolutely horrific. When he walked in, he didn't have a muscle on his body. Tiny little kid. He looked like he was 50 pounds less weight.
Nassim's son or his opponent?
It's his Nassim Hamid's son fought an opponent who was 17 allegedly. He looked about 14 at best, didn't he, Gary? And he was woefully inept, Silk. He literally... Keep going, Gary.
Well, it was 1-2, his record. 1 win, 2 losses. But he was a tiny child. He was like a baby. He didn't have a muscle on his body. It was like the lamb to the slaughter. I love Naz. I understand it's his son's first fight ever. So you just got to go through the motions, right? So I understand all of the precaution, but when you saw that little boy enter the ring that he fought, it was offensive to me as a fight fan. I was disgusted before. And then not only was it bad, I mean, then he won in at 40 seconds, and the kid's against the ropes just with his eyes closed.
Yes.
And he bangs him around a bit, and the ref jumps in quickly, which is good. And then all of the walking around and bravado as if he'd done something. If it was me, and all due respect, I would have been embarrassed. I would have walked out very quietly, and I would have just said, okay, I got that done with, whatever. But I don't think I would have even fought the kid. If I was a true professional fighter, and it's not the way you look, this was offensive to me.
Well, you know what happens
afterwards, all of the
so
it's really horrific. I wish you'd have seen it, Silk.
So you know what happens? It's like you sign for the fight and you don't know who it is if you're the fighter, and then you get to the fight and then there's the weigh-in and you see your opponent. That's the point right there. If you're going to say anything,
Yeah. Well, I mean, but they've picked this kid for his debut. They've seen him.
Yeah. So his
matchmakers should be in jail.
Well, his managers should be like, well, this isn't going to be good for us. I mean, there's people. I've seen some pretty atrocious people on like ESPN or ESPN2 or whatever fighting just the same, exactly what you're saying. So I absolutely 100% agree with you. But you know what they do? They just pad their records as much as possible. And I don't know if Nassim's son, is he a strong amateur or is this?
No,
Michael. This was his first ever fight. No amateur, no pro.
So amateur pedigree.
I get that, right? And I'm a fan of Naz. I love him as a person, as a man. I would look after my kid the same, but I would not. If you see what we saw, it was not looking after someone. I tell you I tell you what is scary. If that kid would have got hit and hurt badly, I would have put the fucking matchmaker in jail. I would put legal, because they didn't look the same weight. It was just the kid was just offered to die, and he just got in there and he ran, and he just got beat up a little bit. He covered his eyes, and it was just, and then everyone's, and it was the most horrific thing I've ever seen in the fight game. Talk about, I've never seen that in UFC. I give Dana that. I've never seen that anything so mismatched in my life.
And I think
that was the biggest mismatch I've ever seen in my life.
I think the effect it can have, Gary, it can make you root against an Adam Hamed before he even starts through no fault of his own. Because
I was so excited for him. I was excited for Naz. I love Naz. You know,
is he a good puncher? Is this guy a good puncher? Like, is Naz?
No, the kid's
what does
not
he look
even.
Like? What did he look like boxing?
I'll tell you what he looked like, right? He had some of them Nassim for the 40 seconds we saw with nothing in front of him. You'd have learnt as much seeing him on the heavy bag. He looked like he had those Nassim Hamed kind of, that swagger. And he did this funny thing with his feet, as I'm sure Gary will confirm. This funny thing where he'd pick them up in an exaggerated fashion, doing a little jig. And he looks like he nice free-flowing combination puncher. He looks significantly better talent-wise than Campbell Hatton, for the sake of a similar yardstick. But whether he punches as hard as his old man, you'd have no way of knowing, because this kid was just an absolute lamb, or a deer caught in the headlines.
And how old is Nassim's son?
21, is he, Adam? Gary? Something like that?
Maybe.
Wow.
It was all the stuff before. I mean, after he'd done something, and it's like I would have loved Naz's son if he'd just walked out quiet and took the win. But
did he say something afterwards? Did he act like he won the world title or something?
Yeah, and I'm gonna put anyone in front of me now, and come on.
Yeah. I'm knocking them all out.
I think it was probably a comedy skit they were doing. Probably something for, they're doing
they're better than that, these guys. They don't need to do that, because there was no cheers. It was just silence. It was just like everyone was just embarrassed. I mean,
Michael, it was the pre-main event, wasn't it, Gary? It was literally the fight.
Pre-main event.
No way.
I mean, pull up a picture of him, Ben.
I wish Simon could do that.
I could see a photograph of him.
Okay, we're 10 minutes in. We're 10 minutes in. We got to get to this fight.
Yeah, we do have to. We do have to. Okay, you're getting professional with this, Silk. You're starting to guide the show. I like what I'm seeing here. You could be good at this one day. Now listen. So Gary, we know that the whole entire boxing world, certainly on social media, is embroiled in this big controversy today. And I've seen credible people boxing people split right down the middle, 50-50 on it. It was a low blow. No, it wasn't a low blow. You know, Dubois should be the legitimate champion
it
today.
didn't matter to me in the end because, well, it mattered, but it is a low blow, 100% below the navel, right? Below the belly button is a low blow. They say.
Silk says no. See what I mean?
Well, this is what I looked up the rules today, and he says below the navel. That's what he says.
Well, you can't tell where the navel is when someone's got the shorts and they got the waist protector on, right?
Well, what if you've got a navel here? You know what I mean? It's like people have unusual bodies, right? So I don't know.
So we're guessing. Like the referee has to inspect the guy's belly button first. Your belly button's there. Your belly button's there.
Do you know though? But you guys know this. The referee often, and I imagine he did it in your day as well. He'd say to one corner, "Okay, your shorts are a little high. I'm going to call these shots just by here. Good, okay."
If he thought they were, absolutely. If he thought they were, here's the thing. Let me just say straight out, Usyk was going to win the fight anyway. That was my opinion. I definitely, absolutely, 100% thought that no matter what he was doing, wasn't doing right, he was going to win that fight. You know what I mean? That's what was going to happen. But to say that that punch was a low blow, I think is, I mean, come on, Gary, you fought how many times have you been hit on the belt, on the right? How many times have you been hit there?
How many times have you complained in the fight?
No.
I've never complained in the fight. I've been hit with the bollocks a bit.
Never, but when you get hit in the nuts, it's an excruciating pain. It's absolutely different than getting hit in the solar plexus. That's all I'm saying. Usyk would have won, but that was not a low blow. And I think people are kind of like playing favorites with it. I like him. He's a great guy. He's a nice guy. He's an absolutely amazing talent. All those things. But he got hit with a shot that took the wind out of him, basically.
I've just seen a thing from Simon saying he has an image of Hamid's opponent if we want it. I don't know how that works.
Please.
Hey, there you go. Look at that, Mike. Brilliant, Simon. Good job. Do you see it, Michael? The kind of breakdown? Okay, take it away, please. Yeah. Without wishing to get off the subject, but yeah, there you go.
He looked big in that. That was flattering of him.
Yeah. That was the after.
But you do know that. I mean, we've seen some pretty sorry-looking people. Like, remember Sean O'Sullivan? You look at him; he never had a muscle in his body.
Yeah,
but man, he dropped hammers on guys, especially even as an amateur. Sean O'Sullivan. I mean, there are a ton of fighters like that, but
yeah,
it is.
But anyway, so everybody's been saying today that below the navel is a low blow. I asked Bob Williams, who's a top official. I tagged him in a conversation with you, Michael, but he didn't want to comment publicly, like referees often don't. So he inboxed me. And he said it's just above the top of the hips is the belt line. That is the line that the referee has in mind, regardless of where the fighters wear their trunks. I've seen all these pictures today of Usyk with his shorts high in the Joshua fight. I've seen his shorts quite low, exposing his navel after the fight. Tony Bellew saying this proves the point, it was low. And then people are saying, no, that's after the fight. His shorts may have come down a bit, or they may have pulled them down. Do you know what I mean? I've never seen such.
I tell you what's shocking. So I was on the fence in regards to the psychology of Usyk until the post-fight interview. Usyk actually said, "You hit me in the nuts." Now, if he'd have said it was low, but he actually said the word nuts because they translated it, the manager. Now, if he's saying he hit him in the nuts, that is we all know he didn't hit him in the nuts. Whether it be a little bit low, okay, but he never hit him. But he actually said he hit me in the nuts. So if he's saying that, that's a very, very scary. Like that's a lie, right? So he's lying.
Yes.
And so I was shocked. I thought he may have said he hit me low, but he said he hit me. It doesn't mean you're allowed to hit me in the nuts. And so when he said that, I thought, oh, and the thing that Michael's correct. He was going to win the fight, but was he? Because he was complaining all night. He was uncomfortable. I've never seen a fighter complain about everything. Every little time he touched him anywhere, he complained. And when fighters complain, it makes me nervous because, you know, we've all been in that position. I don't complain. If it's in the nuts, of course, you don't need to complain. If it's in the nuts, you're going to get the ref's going to see it. But it was complaining about everything. It was a big crack in the armor for me mentally.
Yeah, I hear that, Gary, and I agree with you. I think that I always thought
I actually disagree, and I'll tell you why I disagree. I don't think he prepared to the level he usually would against this guy. You can even looking at his body, he didn't look prepared. Like there was his intensity, though. The way he threw his punches were kind of like lackadaisical. I almost felt like he was painting when he was throwing those punches. He wasn't turning the hands over. He wasn't looking to hit him with the knuckle.
You know what, boys? Tell me if you think this is an option. Did he look like he's turned the clock of time
over the hump?
Yeah, I don't
know.
It didn't look. Well, I'll tell you something. He was uncomfortable. I tell you what was amazing about Daniel. It was a great competitive 5 rounds, 6 rounds. But what was scary about that? I thought he'd hurt his knee because, like, I thought he just suddenly became incredibly fragile. You know, from being really competitive.
Which one, Dubois?
Sorry,
Dubois hurt his knee. You said.
I thought he did the first time when he went down. I thought he took it. I thought his knee had buckled.
Yeah,
I thought it was the knee had gone, and then even on the second one, it was a pretty hard jab. But then he took. You know, he went down. I thought it was his knee at first. If it was not his knee, then how he's fragile. You touch him with anything and he goes over.
Yeah, there's something very like I always thought like Dubois is kind of strange. I don't get his decision-making process. It isn't like it's like when you watch guys fight and they've never fought before. They've never had like a professional, amateur, nothing. They're just like street guys and one guy hits the other guy and the other guy goes, "Oh, I've been hit, so I know I have to be knocked out." And they go down on purpose because I got hit. It's not like you're hurt. It's not like you've been wobbled or it's just the fact that you got hit and you saw on TV when people get hit, you go down. So then he goes down. I was like, this is comedy because he can't go down from that and stay down like a 10 count from a jab that wasn't like a power jab like Hagler does, like what he hit Hearns with. He pulled it back and jumped into it. It was
people are saying that the controversy of the body shot overshadowed the fact that Dubois quit, capitulated, surrendered essentially. Mm-hmm. That's what they're saying. Mm-hmm. Your thoughts?
Gary?
You know what made me laugh? This talks about like on tennis, when you go to the cameras and and you do all if you go to the cameras and do the check and come back and just show the ref, the guy's had 10 minutes anyway. So I mean,
it's a good point. Yeah.
How can you do that in boxing? It doesn't make sense.
We need VAR to stop these things happening. Yeah, let's just go.
It was saying let's go to the cameras. Like it's the same thing. If he would, what I tell you, what disappointed me with Daniel is this: no matter what happened, no matter what it was, when he got up, he had a lot of momentum. Daniel, if he was ever going to jump on him, it was now. And he should have jumped on, and then he went back into a boxing fight and
he's obviously not a very experienced and skilled individual, but he tries to force his fight upon people, and that's what he did with Usyk. He tried to force his fight, and you could see him ebb and flow. He was confused. There were some things that Usyk did that absolutely confused him, and he withdrew from the battle. Absolutely right.
It was competitive though, more so than I thought for a long time.
Yes, and everybody thought, for sure.
And he did look dangerous, Daniel. I just kept thinking he's just going to land one shot. It's like I was thinking he's getting beat, but he had me on the edge of the seat, thinking he could do some big right hand to get lucky. But then all of a sudden, once he allowed Usyk to get that rhythm, game over. It took him a while, and he was uncomfortable for a while. But as soon as he got into the Usyk rhythm, he just beat him up, and it was all Usyk. For the last couple of rounds, it was like he just. And I think Michael's right. I think what won the fight last night more than ability in anything was experience, and that mental experience of Usyk and that mental strength.
Yeah, he's been there. He knows what to do.
Daniel just kind of did good things and didn't know what to do when he did good things, and then when things got under pressure, he kind of folded a little bit. He just didn't have that mental strength and that experience. Mm-hmm. If you saw when Daniel got hurt, Usyk never left him alone. From the second he got hurt, he was on him.
Yeah, he got in his face and made the kid fight.
Daniel heard him and then went back to the fight again, just like a normal fight again. He never threw the right hand. He rarely threw the double jab. When he threw it, he had some success. But I thought he did a great account of himself up to about round. When did it end? 9?
9, yeah.
I think up to about round 7.
Yeah, for sure.
It was. I was interested in the fight the whole time. I didn't think. I always thought Daniel had at that chance of pulling one out the bag.
Do you feel, both of you? Do you feel that there was sufficient controversy to warrant a rematch, and he is entitled to one? Michael first.
Do I think Dubois deserves a rematch? I don't see any reason why not. I mean, I wouldn't begrudge him, and there's certainly enough talk about it, hullabaloo, in order to justify it. I mean, the money will be there, that's for sure.
Gary?
It'll still be there.
Sure, but I don't think there'll be a different result. I think he'll get. I think he'll get another shot, another payday, because there's a technical. But I don't think anyone's going to be overexcited that he's going to win it again, because like Michael says, as soon as there was no real. He never looked like
lightning has struck, hasn't it? Lightning has struck the once. I don't think it's going to strike again, is it?
Yeah, but you know what? Because he is young and he is inexperienced, he'll have learned a lot from this fight.
Yeah, he'll get back in the gym and he'll get more experience. He'll get stronger from this experience. He definitely.
Like if you put him back at domestic level now, if I was managing him and let's say he doesn't get the fights, I would put him down to domestic level again. Yes. I would have a couple of fights. I'd take him to America. I'd get him sparring with all the guys in America. Yes. Yeah. I would just feed him and work with the trainer, and I would just build him a little quietly, let the heavyweights sort themselves out now, and then bring him in like a different guy. And I think at domestic level now, he's crossed the line and he is world class, but he's not quite where he needs to be. And if he goes where he needs to be right now, he's not ready. So I would just bring him down a notch if he doesn't get it. Give him a little bit more experience. Let him learn. And needs to be in America with the top heavyweights and all of the. I know we say England's got a lot of good heavyweights, which we have right now, but the real work I think for him would be in the Vegas gyms and the other gyms, and let him. And even just for him mentally, I think the US is good for him.
But there's one, that red flag, his resiliency is a red flag that he's done. It's more than once. It's been 2 or 3 times he's done.
Yes, that's right.
And that it absolutely doesn't make any sense as a
fragile after as soon as he got under pressure, fragile.
Yeah. And so even a journeyman can apply pressure like that. You know what I mean? If you know it's a guarantee this guy's gonna crack when you apply pressure. Anybody's going to go in there and do that. Anybody and everybody. So how does he overcome that?
It's interesting you say that, because what about Usyk with the chinks in the armor, which Gary perceived in Usyk last night? Mm-hmm. I've always happened to believe that Tyson Fury would beat Alexander Usyk. That's not a partisan pick. That's not an emotional pick. I'm no big Fury fan.
After last night, you know he'll beat him.
Yes, exactly. Whereas Michael, so I think we feel that way, Gary, currently. I think Michael...
he will get... I thought it was interesting. He will get absolutely crucified by Tyson Fury. He will beat him so
Michael
bad.
Not feeling it.
How? Michael, with what? You know, I take a look at...
Crucified. He will beat him up so bad. He will quit.
But can you paint the picture for me? Like how? With what? How is he?
I'll tell you what he will do. It will, number one, Usyk will not hit Tyson Fury with that nice jab that he has. It's not going to happen. He'll be a foot short, first and foremost. Secondly, Tyson Fury will bully him like other people have. Like, of course, Derek Chisora did some of it. You saw how close Chisora Usyk was. People say, okay, Usyk won it easily. He never won it easily. He may have won the fight. Others say it was even. Some give it to Chisora. If you say, okay, Usyk won it, okay. You saw it was like a man and Tyson Fury played with Chisora the last fight. It was hard to watch. You have to see these levels, right? Mm-hmm. So just to compare two fighters. But when you see Daniel Dubois make Usyk uncomfortable for a little bit, what's a 6'9", 280-pound, incredible, talented. He's become a puncher. He's smart. He's as smart, if not smarter, than Usyk. I saw so many holes in Usyk last night. I was so disappointed, and more so, I was so disappointed. I thought he was like the complaining. It made just. I thought, what's wrong with him? It's like, why you keep complaining?
Okay, Pen, your picture then. So
it's like he didn't want to be there, and we've all seen on photographs. I ask you this, Michael. You saw the photograph. You said it was not a low blow, right?
No.
So you tell me now.
Uh-huh.
Tell me now. Let's rewatch the reaction that Usyk took. What you read? He's on the floor like he kicked him in his bollocks with a pair of football boots on, right?
Uh-huh.
You saw where the shot hit. It wasn't in the bollocks, that's for sure. So look at what for 3 minutes. I didn't think he was going to get up. So how do you explain that man that was like a little boy, like he was been kicked in the bollocks, which he hadn't? Everyone knows he hadn't. So now we know he hasn't. It was a bit low, so it's maybe below the navel, but above the hip. So it was a body shot. And his reaction, supposedly be the greatest ever, Hall of Fame. How do you explain that reaction? If you're his psychologist, tell me what that means, that reaction.
Well, I think I do think that if the ref would have, impressed upon him that he's got to get up and get going, that he would have got up and got going. Basically,
but was he acting when he was doing all this breathing and screaming? And
I mean, I think he
was that acting or was he hurt?
No, I think it physically the shot hurt. I mean, those kinds of uppercuts that push the air up and out of you, and like they move your innards around. Uppercuts when they catch you to the body, they're the worst shots to get hit with. So, yes, absolutely. I mean, I just don't. What word am I looking for to? Well, first of all, I don't think Tyson Fury. Well, Tyson Fury isn't the same type of fighter as this kid. That's for sure. And Tyson Fury.
He's vastly better.
Sorry?
He's vastly better than Dubois.
He's vastly better, but it's like fighters' timings are so specific and certain style. That's why, I mean, I hate the term. You hate the term styles make fights. I spend time doing that, and I don't. But there's certain things a person does that would get to. Let me ask you a question.
Tony Bellew, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Tony Bellew, you like him, right? Nice.
You
don't know him. I don't know him either. So if he fought Tyson Fury, how would you see it going?
I don't think I've ever seen him fight. I know he's
he was almost beating Usyk for half the fight.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you put Tony Bellew in with Tyson Fury, the simple size, it wouldn't even be competitive because of just everything about it would be wrong. It would be like Hamid's son and the little kid last night who we fought.
But here's the thing, Gary. I understand
I love Bellew, but he's not big enough to fight Fury. But he was competitive.
But that's when it comes down to skills, because size isn't everything. There's been a ton of
but Tony Bellew competed with Usyk, skillful.
I happen to think, by the way, without wishing to throw a spanner in the works of your logic, Gary, I happen to think Usyk knew exactly what he was doing against Bellew, and whether he may have been ahead on the cards or whatever, I think he was just walking him into his fate. And I don't think Bellew was ever in danger of winning that fight. That was my take on it.
I thought Bellew was great in that fight, and I thought it was extremely competitive. And then he got hit with a shot, like he would have knocked anybody out of that shot. It was the perfect shot, and it wasn't Bellew's a tough kid. He just got tagged like one of them perfect shots. But up to that, I don't know if the judges' cards had Bellew ahead, or it was very, very close. But if you put Bellew with someone like, and we have to consider this, if you put Bellew with someone like Tyson Fury, I don't think it would be competitive, just not only for the skill set, but the size. Now, he's put on a little weight to go to heavyweight, but he's still that guy.
But you know what? Ultimately, boxing is about what you do, like this fist to that face. That's all there is to it.
The body, right?
Yeah, or the body, or the bollocks. Yeah. So, so ultimately, it's about like you're fencing with your fists, basically. So it's a certain guy has a different way of a different approach. That's it can be confusing if you don't do your homework, if you're not prepared, if you're and I do believe that Usyk, I don't think he prepared adequately for this kid. I really don't think he did. Everyone thought, oh, this is just going to be a nice showcase for you in Poland, and you're going to go in there and you smack him around. The kid's had maybe 20 fights in his whole life, and I don't know how much of an amateur career he had, but the kid went to work and he was serious about whatever he did, and he, you know what I mean, he really applied himself. And I think Usyk was just in a position of like just too much. He was too comfortable. He took the fight for granted.
It's the same logic. What you're saying, Michael, the same logic when people say if Henry Cooper can knock a young Cassius Clay down, then X, Y, and Z. When you say no, because he take guys like Sonny Liston and Ernie Shavers and George Foreman a whole lot more seriously, and it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So,
you do.
I when we look at the big picture, going into the fight, I had this Usyk invincibility feeling, and coming out of the fight, completely 1000% gone. And that's not preparation, or he got tired, or he wasn't as sharp as he should have been. The whole thing about him was a turn off for me. The complaints, completely underwhelmed, and it was extremely competitive for a few rounds.
So, Michael, you actually think Usyk, because Gary and I appear to be saying that we would back Fury any day in the week against Usyk as it stands. Are you saying that you would back Usyk, or you're just saying you wouldn't say it's a foregone conclusion?
I mean, obviously, after you watch last night, it's got a little bit of, there's some damage done. But I believe that Usyk would step up to the plate, and I think he could beat Fury. The way in which, like, you can see as a fighter, you can see. Come on, Gary, you see that? You can see when Tyson.
In a million years, can he?
Bro, you see it. Like, you know what I mean?
I loved Usyk before this fight, but I tell you what, he got exposed last night for me. And it could be age. I don't know what it is. You say it's not prep. I respect your opinion on that, and you may be correct. Whatever it was, he showed so many cracks in the armor last night on every level.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can I butt in with this one? Who was it? It wasn't Bruce Finch. Who did Sugar Ray come back with and he got dropped?
Kevin Howard.
Kevin Howard, yes. Like he came in, he was going to fight Hagler, we were going to take a warm-up, took the warm-up, got dropped by Kevin Howard, and what happened then? And everyone thought Hagler was going to murder him.
But listen, yeah, but he wasn't going to fight Hagler just like that. That wasn't his next fight or anything. He was coming back, and that was that. And there was plenty of big fights on his horizon. Then he retired again, didn't he? And he stayed in the pasture for 3 years. People definitely thought Hagler was going to murder him after that, because that was the only time they'd seen him in the ring in 5 years.
Exactly. So we can say whatever we want about like perceptions and feelings.
Yeah, I hear that.
And feelings and stuff like that. But the reality is, when they get into the ring, how do they match up? First and foremost, timing wise. Mentally, that's going to be an issue as well. Mentally, maybe Tyson Fury is going to be more confident now because he saw what this kid did to him. And of course, he's going to take a page out of the book. He's going to start throwing uppercuts to the body. But then maybe the Usyk understands what that's going to happen, and he has counters and traps set exactly for that. I mean, boxing is like, it's so obvious, but there's so many intricacies in it as well. You know what I mean? Like, there's just something like the angle that Usyk may come in at may not be something conducive to Tyson Fury's offense. It may absolutely throw it off. We never know that. But the thing is, Usyk has the talent to be able to do that. I don't think this is an age time thing, anything like that. I think it was just, he was. I mean, I'm speaking out of place because I don't live his life. I don't know him. I don't know anyone around him, but I know he's been, he's the hero of his country, and there's a lot of things that were expected of him, and he's, you know what I mean? Now he was over in Poland. He was going to have a show. Everyone is just blowing smoke up his butt, and he's the greatest thing. And he has this kid coming in who got wiped out by a couple of guys, and now, you know what I mean? Yeah. So now he's supposed to go in there and whoop him, but sometimes, you know what I mean? That's Gary. And Ben, I'm sure you know too. Sometimes you go in there with a level of expectancy, and all of a sudden the guy does something, and it's like, oh God, you know what I mean? Like I better adjust.
Did either of you ever take one of your opponents lightly? Can I ask you for your personal experience of that phenomenon?
I've took them lightly, but the reality is this. When you train for 6 weeks, 8 weeks for a fight, right? And you sure, you could train harder for some fights and less for others. But when you're in pretty good nick, generally, maybe in the 11th and 12th, you'll get exposed. But in the first 6, if you take someone lightly in the first 6, take someone lightly, you wake up first round and you say, oh, I took this fucking guy a bit, and you liven up very quickly.
Yeah.
I don't think that when you train an extra little bit harder, a little bit, that your timing's that much better, that you've that much. I think you're the same guy. You may be 5% less if you're not absolutely on the money. But if you take someone lightly and you realize it, then you say, okay, as the fight was going on, he was getting worse. And there were stages where Daniel, he had moments. And life's about moments, and he had a lot of moments and like little moments that with more experience he could have took advantage of, which he didn't. He let him go these moments. Like when Usyk got up, he should have jumped on him, but he didn't. He went back to, inexperience. There was a few times he should have jumped on Usyk, and he didn't.
Well, you know what Usyk did? Usyk did like, that Halloween cat thing. You raise the back. It's like all of a sudden you look like you're ready to fight, and all of a sudden because this kid Dubois isn't experienced, he's like, oh my God, he's ready to fight, so he's gonna lay back. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if Usyk,
I think we get. I think I am guilty of, and I think I only speak for myself, but I think I am guilty of, as many are, of overrating Usyk, because I understand he came into the scene with this incredible resume as a cruiserweight.
Yes.
Sure, he beat all the cruiserweights, but that's okay. So he's a cruiserweight champion. Great. He went up to heavyweight. He was very unimpressive in his first couple of fights. So much so to the fact that a guy who we've all have said has been finished for the last 5 years, has won 1 out of his last 10 fights. Almost he beat him on a split decision. And we're all saying this man is invincible. Then he beat Anthony Joshua twice, once pretty convincingly, second time not that convincingly, but not overwhelmingly. And so that's an Anthony Joshua that we're all critiquing now. Usyk beat him barely. How is he so fucking amazing? And then now he fights Dubois. He gets hit, complains the whole fight, goes down for 20 minutes when he gets hit, and it says at the press conference he got a hit in the balls. We all know that's a lie. I just think I give him, because I said on the last podcast, I don't get it. When I said, Michael wasn't here, I said everyone's got this thing about he's one of the greatest of the greats. I don't get it. I think he's messy. I think he's extremely awkward. He has to be. He must be extremely awkward. He's difficult to nail. He's slippy, but he gets hit. If you look at his last few fights, even this fight, he banged up a little bit. Last fight, cut. He gets caught. He's awkward. He's not a big puncher. He wears you down. Pick. He hits hard. He's hitting harder lately, so he wears you down. So he's not a huge puncher. He gets caught. He does everything good and nothing great for me. And I just think that I certainly, I'm going to speak for me, I overrated him.
And you know what that reminds me of, Gary? Regardless of whether I share those views entirely or not, you're only as good as your last fight, as the old axiom says. Now, this time last year, exactly a year ago, he just beat Anthony Joshua the second time. Some people were criticising Anthony Joshua, as you just detailed. And that Adi Adelapo, who's on DAZN, the black guy, youngish, said, they're all knocking Anthony Joshua, but who did he lose to? They said, you realise Usyk is the pound-for-pound king. He said,
all right, let me ask you this. Let's say Anthony Joshua now goes to Vegas and fights Deontay Wilder, gets knocked out in a minute, which is possible. Now you're going to tell me that Usyk's the greatest of the great. He had two.
Well, there you go. And the guy said
24 rounds with Joshua.
Exactly. And a year ago,
we're mixing
almost a
it
year
up.
ago today. 1 second, Michael. A year ago today, Adi Edelapo says, just think of this. Of all the people in the world who do boxing, Usyk is the best. Let that sink in. Now, that struck me as a hyperbolic, fanboyish, naive comment anyway for someone who's on a major broadcasting platform. Fast forward a year, everybody's in love with Crawford and Inoue, and it's between those two as far as people talk, this mythical pound-for-pound status. And how many people today think Usyk is the best fighter, bar none, at any single weight in the world? Almost nobody, I would say.
Can I just ask that question because we were talking over each other? If Usyk goes and fights Wilder now, gets knocked out in 1 or 2 rounds or 3 rounds, right?
Yeah.
How can you say he's the greatest? If Joshua fights Wilder
and gets blown away
and gets knocked out in a round or 2, how can you? So that's he exposes Joshua, let's say, or whatever. How can you? So he executes Joshua in 2 rounds. However, Usyk did 24 rounds. How can he be the greatest of the greats when this guy just knocked him out into? And if Fury fought Joshua and stopped him in 3-4 rounds, how can we keep Usyk struggle with him? He struggled with a few, right? He struggled with yesterday to the point that people think he got robbed. I mean, how great is he? When has he been dominant as a heavyweight? When was he dominant even against? He wasn't dominant against Tony Bellew.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's winning and he's undefeated, no matter how.
That's what Peter McDonough said. He made a comment on YouTube. He said, Chisora was competing, Bellew was competing, Dubois was competing, but they all got beat. That's his 2 penneth.
Mm-hmm. I mean, ultimately, that's what it comes down to. The winner. If a guy defends the title 25 times and wins 25 split decisions, you know what I mean? He still defended it.
That's a fair point.
I just think that the machine didn't. I was I'm with you guys until last night, and then I'm not going to judge a guy in one fight because I have experience. I'm not going to do that. But I saw fundamental cracks. In my eyes. I had I watch things. I don't say I'm spiritual when I'm watching, but I feel things, and it's not just the fight. It's the little things.
Well, that's exactly why I think there was an issue in his training. There were things he didn't do. He wasn't. I mean, I'd never seen him like he wasn't turning over his punches. He was throwing that left hand, and the dude was right in front of him. He's right there in front of him, and he threw the left hand and was sure on purpose because he was throwing it across his body. He was throwing like the mythical left cross.
I was going to say like a cross, Michael.
I'm going to say so that it make you laugh. It's like,
but he punched across, right? He punched across, so automatically he didn't try. Like when you punch, you got to put your fist where the face is. That's the intent of your punch. When he punched last night, he had no intent behind his punches. Basically, that's all I'm saying. And I think
I had a feeling last night, which I've not had before with Usyk, and it's like who he was. And I don't think he's been put in a position to have to show who he was until last night. I think, and so it's like, imagine a girl.
Okay, good one.
And you're going to marry her, and she goes out and gets drunk and sleeps with another man.
Yeah.
You can't say she was drunk. No, what a character is that a character. You get some girls as drunk as you want. They're not going to sleep with you because that's not who they are.
Yeah.
So, do you understand me? It's like he showed real flaws.
Could you elaborate on? Could you elaborate on that a little bit more?
What I'm saying is, if someone is a certain way, they're a certain way. You can not,
and it will come out.
But they are fundamentally who they are. So, if like the way, we all know one thing, and this is a fact. We know that he didn't get hit in the balls, right?
Mhm.
And we all know, let's all be real fucking men and not lie. We all know when you get it in the balls with a protector on, it's very rarely that it fucking hurts anyway.
Some people are saying it might move, Gary. Some people are saying, is it a possible thing that the protector moves and impacts negatively on the crown?
No,
no, because it can only go down. It can't go up, right? I mean,
well, it can go up.
He got hit in the middle, up in the middle, and the protector in many ways would have helped more than hinder. Because
Henry Cooper once claimed that happened to him. He said it was a European title fight. I think the guy was called Tomasini from Italy, and he got hit up the balls. And he said obviously the protector, the little cups they wore back in the day, was convex when he put it on, and it was concave when he took it off. Cooper told a few stories that weren't necessarily true. They're a bit embellished. Maybe that's one of them. I don't know.
Right, but that was not the case last night. We all know he got hit in the mid-range, right? So his three-piece equipment is below that, and with it was it can only go downwards, not upwards, right? So he got a hit. It was not in the nuts. He got a hit between the navel and maybe the pubic bone, the whatever, in the middle.
Yeah.
The reaction was like he got hit in the nuts. Now you explain psychologically that to me. I don't understand it. If you could convince
me. That's the thing, Gary. I don't think he reacted like he did get hit in the nuts. He reacted like yes, he did say that, but his actions were like somebody that got hit with a body shot, not with a low blow. The way he reacted,
but he made it look like a low blow, right?
I don't think he did. I think
he felt like he got it with a body shot. He would have had to get up by 10 as he's been knocked out.
Yeah, right? No.
Here's an interesting thing, guys. Quickly, if it was a low blow, which the referee obviously is calling that it was, and it caused that kind of injurious impact on the opponent, why didn't the referee dock a point from Dubois? Would that not be standard?
No, it wouldn't be standard. It shouldn't have been. I know when I fought Hearns, I caught him in that neighborhood. And immediately they took a point off. No warning, no nothing. Angelo went.
Well, what I'm saying, so if the referee was sticking to his convictions, should he have taken a point off as well?
Yes.
That's what I'm putting to you. You get it?
Yeah, no, but if it happens the first time, if that's the first one, then
no, but he was complaining 10 times before that.
He's complaining the whole time, but did the referee step in at any point and acknowledge the fact that
he didn't warn him? He didn't have any warnings, no. So
no, he did. He did. Do you remember he brought them together a couple of times and said, "Oh yeah."
Okay, fair enough. So, but the thing is,
he acknowledged Usyk 4 or 5 times and acknowledged to Dubois, lift him up before that. And then he gets it with a big one, puts him on his ass for 3 minutes and does not get a point.
So do you guys remember this? Do you guys remember?
He warned Dubois 3-4 times before that.
Yeah, I didn't know it was for low blows. Was it?
Okay. Do you guys remember the Andre Ward-Kovalev situation in the rematch?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you think it was a very similar punch in terms of where it
landed? Yeah, absolutely. It was on the belt line, but even more to the center, I think.
Do you think Kovalev is watching that today being like, well, if he gets the benefit of the doubt, why didn't I? Never mind Ken Buchanan if we want to really run it back.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. 100%. Yeah, I remember because those shots, look, the belt line, I mean, boxing shorts are designed a certain way for a reason, right? That belt line, like the waist, the ribbon that goes around the waist, that
doesn't define it, though, Michael. That's what I sent you earlier on Facebook. That doesn't define it. It depends where they wear it. The referee told me today, who's a top referee.
No, the referee will say, "Listen, your shorts are high, so this is going to be your low blow area." And but I'm just saying, as a like an equator. This is where the divide is. This is, basically they use the ribbon that goes around your waist on the top of your shorts as a gauge. That's a visual gauge to see what shots are low and what shots aren't.
Yes, it is. That's the idea behind the design. I'll tell you one thing. If Dubois had hit that Kevin Larina, the South African also ran that he dispatched on the Fury Chisora undercard, the referee would have just counted him out and he'd have been in the shower with his brown envelope of money, as soon as you knew it, wouldn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wouldn't have been the thing. It was about privilege. There was a degree of privilege in it, regardless of what people think about the legitimacy or otherwise of the shot. The fact that Usyk is the 3/4 heavyweight champion of the world, defending practically in his home country, very much the A side. That was a factor, as it always is, right?
Yeah, it is. It always is. And yeah, I mean, I thought that. Well, what do you think, Gary?
I mean, technically, the shot was low. You know, if we're going to go by the book.
So I'm sorry. So on the belt line, like this right here, on the belt line, that's considered a low blow if you hit him here.
Michael, did you see that video I sent you earlier? There's a referee at a recent title fight, and he's saying any shots on the belt are fouls. It actually is on the belt.
Right, now give me the exact spot where it hit, because I looked today and I freeze froze and everything. So on his belt line, on his can you? I don't know if you can see me here.
I can just see a black T-shirt. Keep going.
Can you see? Anyway,
yeah,
anyway, on the belt line, you know where the shorts go like this, you know, with the thing around
waistband.
In the middle was an insignia, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He hit him right on the insignia.
Yes.
So right in the middle of where the belt, and then the shorts, right? So in the middle of the belt, I froze the camera, and he was right on the insignia. Ironically,
the insignia
right in the middle.
The insignia on
in the middle of the belt.
That's created a wonderful image in my mind. Can you imagine Bob Fitzsimmons' wife in 1897 at Coma, California, shouting to her husband, "Hit him in the insignia, Bob"? That would have been classic.
Anyway, he hit him right on the insignia. That's a nice word to call it, right?
Yeah.
He hit him right on the insignia. Now, that technically, I don't know if Michael knows more than me. I don't know. I kind of was looking up online today, and it says below the belly button is technically low. So I didn't say illegal. I was looking. It said low. It was below the belly button. It was not in the family jewels. Or nowhere near the family jewels.
It's strange how much the industry is actually quite vague on this. What you see today, because you two are top class fighters. You know, I've been around the game for an awful long time, and yet there is the fact that when you look at all the debates that have been happening online, on Twitter, and on other social media platforms, people are not as clear as the industry is not as clear as it should be. On
but Gary, it is very clear. Every time since the beginning of time in pugilism, the referee brings the guys to the center of the ring and he says,
"No punches below the belt."
Below the belt, and that is the belt. That thing that goes around your waist on your shorts.
But it's an imaginary line, Michael. You've got to take that on board. It's not the thing on your shorts. It's right places.
It's where if a fighter wears his shorts up high, they're going to say, "Listen, I'm going to count shots up here."
So it's not about the belt line then. So it's not about the waistband.
It is about the waistband, because they're saying, like, if I'm wearing my waistband here, right, and the guy's hitting me here, it's fine.
Yeah.
He's hitting me here and here. Now, if he hits me down here on the waistline,
exactly. So it's about your anatomy. It's not about the waistband per se. Is that logical?
No, because it's in the waist. The border is like the equator. It's like it's how you know where
the shot was between his belly button and his pelvic bone in the middle.
Yeah.
So
it's impossible. Yeah, it's absolutely impossible to judge through shorts and a kidney protector.
Well, not really. I'll tell you why it's not impossible, because if you look at the Usyk shorts, you just see his belly button, and then you just see it, and then his shorts are right on the belly button. He got hit right in the middle of the strap that goes around the shorts, in the middle, and the belly button is just on top of the strap. So if there's the belly button here, his punch was there, only this way. So there's the belly button. The punch was there, landed.
Yeah.
So then we're talking this much. This much distance. The belly button was here. The shot was here. So the belly button's here. The shot's here. So that's that is the distance.
We've had a funny comment here.
There's the shot. and the dick is down here.
Yeah. I think
So-
I'm going to get a geezer called Matthew Mulligan to replace all of us because he's clearly a seer. He says, lads, Usyk won every single round, including the 5th. It was a low blow, and you should all know the definition of that. We're being chastised. Don't forget, Dubois also had a good breather himself. I'm sure he really appreciated that, you know, with Usyk absolutely there for the taking. I'm sure Dubois thought, what a lovely breather this is.
I mean, listen, I respect all opinions, but getting back to the crux of this thing, I just a lot of people are using pictures to justify their thoughts, and they're using pictures like when the impact hasn't even been made. It's an upward arcing punch. The fist isn't even sinking to the body yet. They said see it's slow because the hand hasn't touched the body yet. Say this is the belt line, right? This is the fist, and it hasn't hit yet. Right there.
Yeah,
and
I hear that. Yeah, there've been so many images circulate. So many forensic scientists on Facebook today with their Exhibit A's, and the ones who believe it was legit show the one where it lands right in the middle. It looks fine, and the ones who want to prove the point that it was low, they show the one that you said hadn't finished its trajectory yet, so it looks like it. You know, but
well, let me ask you this, guys. The biggest point is this: it wasn't in the bollocks. It was a bit low.
Yeah.
So it was still in the body. Did the reaction warrant the shot?
I guess he must have been in pain, Gary. But
right, but is that you get in pain if you get hit in the solar plexus? So he got hit in the body, the low body, let's say.
It's a different pain than getting hit in the balls.
Okay, and is that now okay? Then fair play, Usyk. You got hit in the lower part of the body, which is a different feeling. You know, did he? My issue was he didn't get hit in the nuts. His reaction appeared like he'd been hit in the nuts. He even said at the press conference, post press conference, "You're not allowed to hit me in the nuts," because they all laughed when the translator had said nuts. So he's still saying it at the post press conference that he got hit in the nuts, and that was his reaction. We all know he didn't. So let me ask you, where does that put you guys? Let me ask you both, Ben first. If he's saying he got hit in the nuts post press before all this drama because he's not seen all the cameras froze and all of it, he doesn't know what's going on. What does that tell you about Usyk?
I suppose it gives you reason to believe that he's capable of being disingenuous. And like you said, because he might not have gone through the whole thing and seen the replays yet, he can get away with that narrative. Perhaps he thinks he can justify that narrative and it gets him out of jail. I mean, I wonder how cynical we're going to be about Alexander Usyk and how much gamesmanship was involved last night. You know, was the referee absurdly pally with him and with a real bedside manner in his favor?
After the fight, he was absolutely like mollycoddling him a lot. He was talking to him. They were in like almost like an in-depth conversation. I don't know what it was, but they were back and forth, and he was smiling and he was patting Usyk on the back and he was being very chummy with him. And you don't want to see that with officials.
No.
Even if everything's on the up and up, you just don't do that. You do your job, you get out the ring, you raise his hand, whatever it is. But there's no need for that kind of like jovial conversation.
For me, the big thing for me last night was this. Look, Michael was correct in saying Usyk won the fight all night, right?
Yeah.
I don't think no issue with or without, right?
No, with or without, he would have won.
My thing is, he's not the guy I thought he was.
I hear that, and I think that's a perfectly.
That's all I say, and you can say why. I can give you 50 reasons, but one of them was mentally. He's not the guy I thought he was. I think he was too competitive. Daniel Dubois, I understand, is a good prospect. He's a puncher. He's very inexperienced. He's almost naive as a child. Like I've told you before the fight last week, he had a childlike quality. He's not ultra world level. Can he get there? Sure.
Which none of the heavyweights are anyone
right.
In terms of skills anyway.
No, you just stood them all on the head technically. Now still. So none of them are so. But I
did think Usyk was more skilled than the rest of the guys.
And it was so competitive though last night. for a while. So I just said to myself, it's not that great, because like if you see a great fight and you put him in with someone who's good, they just take him to pieces. Clinically, I've seen so many clinical jobs in my life. Like you go, wow. I've never seen a clinical job from Usyk ever. I've seen him wear people down. I've seen him messy fights, wears you down. I saw Chisora put him in extreme discomfort for a long time. I saw Joshua have moments. I saw a competitive fight last night with a pretty much inexperienced young prospect. And I saw him struggle many times. He was never comfortable. And at one point of the fight last night, I felt Usyk I almost thought he was going to not get up, and like I thought he was going to throw it. I thought he was just going to like not get up.
I think it did look that way. I'm getting the wind-up sign from Simon, the tech
Okay,
guy.
but don't forget that the referee did say, "Stay down, take your time." He's like, "I'm ready to go," and the referee kept saying, "No, take your time. You got 5 more minutes or 6 more. Take your time.
Take your time. They paid me a lot of money. It's okay."
It's the A side thing again, isn't it? It is the A side thing again.
I mean, the referee said that. No, Usyk didn't say that. The referee said, "Stay down."
That's what we're saying. We're talking about the A side thing, and the referee.
I see,
yeah,
right.
you understand it. But I think
it does heat everything up again. You know what I mean? And it does in order for fights to sell and for interest, you need to have these kinds of controversies. Really, I mean, this is the ones that pose. That's what makes you tune in. You want to see the next. That was a cliffhanger. You want to see the next series.
It made things more interesting last night, didn't it? Because most people predicted a very one-sided, pointless affair. Yeah. They thought, that Dubois hadn't earned a mandatory challenge in the first place at 3/4 or whatever championship. Last night made for interesting viewing, and it's made for interesting debate the day after, hasn't it? And no doubt it's not over yet by a long shot.
So what do you think happens with Dubois' career after this? Goes up or goes down?
And I think if he's lucky enough to get a rematch, he'll get another good payday, and he'll get beat again. But you know what? I wouldn't bet on it next. I would give him a chance. He had a chance last night. I just don't think he has the mental strength to go any further now.
I tend to agree with Gary.
The way it works and find something a little. He's got to learn. He's got to go to another level somewhere mentally, and that can he get that maybe? But
it's probably his nature that you were saying.
For my summation of, because I know we got to go, it would be I'm disappointed in Usyk after last night. There's many reasons which we've got into, but I'm a little disappointed. I'm completely convinced that Tyson Fury will wipe the floor with him, which I always thought he'd beat him, but I think he'll completely destroy him. And the last thing is, I think that the matchmakers should be held accountable, because if that kid, not being funny, he was lucky enough to get stopped. If that kid would have got hit with a clean shot on the chin and gone in a coma, which is possible, someone's got to be accountable, because that, for me, the kid didn't have a prayer. Now, I love Naz. I understand he's looking after his son, and he's getting. He had to go through the motions, not have a tough fight, just go through it. It was a big arena, a lot of pressure having a father who was amazing. I get it all, but come on, let's at least put him in with someone that's.
I know we got to run, but Ben, quickly, I would just say, like, this is commonplace in boxing with a lot of fighters. You know what I mean? You really, like, you get them. You know what I mean? Like, they're pretty much just bait. I mean, you know that, Gary. Like,
I know that, but
you never.
I think what it is, Michael.
I never fought guys like that, but
you know what I thought? You know what I thought? My pro debut, I think the guy had like 40 fights, so he was fodder, but he was a nightmare because he knew every trick in the book. And he was a physically strong man. He was a guy. I think his guy's name was Steve Tempro, strong as a bull, and twist him and turn him and fucking me around. He was a nightmare. And I was thinking, give me someone who's on the debut like me. This kid knew everything. I of course I got rid of him, and who cares when his record was, 15-40. But he was a physically strong man. Mm-hmm. This kid was a little baby. He's the kind of kid, sad to see.
It's like with Campbell Hatton when they kept looking outside of Britain for his opponents, even though they were fighting in the UK. And the reason they were looking, they couldn't find anybody in Britain licensed who was bad enough to fit
But
the.
they were looking outside high schools for this opponent.
Exactly, exactly. But fellas, on that note, thank you once again for joining me with this fascinating discussion. Got to say, I'm loving the way Gary is fitting into this dynamic. I don't want to patronise a famous Hollywood actor, but I think you're really finding your feet with this format, sir, which is great.
You do?
Right, say again.
You think you're finding my feet?
Yes. I mean, I'm sure you're absolutely delighted to get a compliment from somebody so eminent as myself.
Anyone, even as ugly as you, Ben.
Yes.
You said patron, Bill. Ben. Patron? That's tequila, isn't it? Patron.
Say again.
No?
Say again.
Patron. Patron?
Patronize.
Patronize.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about
brand of tequila. You say
tequila, yes.
I've never heard of that tequila, and I thought I'd heard of most of them.
I have Patron, yes.
Yeah. It's a shame I probably won't be visiting that one now. I've retired from all that game, but
you can. I'll drink one for you in Atlantic City when we get there, right?
We're looking forward to that. I still hope Gary can make Atlantic City, but we'll talk about that off camera. Guys, thank you for tuning in. We hope you found it as interesting as we found it enjoyable. Remember, we're brought to you exclusively by Ace Podcast Nation. We are Sugar, Silk, and Stretch. Peace out.